Hi, good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday to all that are that's on Facebook and those that are listening on our podcast. Again, I was at some events this weekend and somebody came up to me and said that they listened to this podcast. So I really, truly appreciate you all tuning in. Today is Monday, June 17th, and I hope everybody had a great Father's Day yesterday. I saw the mug of the day. You go in the back of almost everybody's cabinet, and you might find a mug that looks like this. It's a Best Dad mug. So I pulled out a Best Dad mug just for fun. Um, obviously I had Mother's Day, but there are some mothers that also do double duty as dads. There are some father figures out there, stepdads, uncles, good friends, and of course, dads that step up every day to do the work of the family, help out. So hats off and giving a little bit of a shout out to all the dads out there who for Father's Day. Yesterday was Father's Day. Um, Pretty much what's going on in Springfield. Again, the bills are being sent to the governor for signing. One of my bills that got sent to the governor was the property tax bill. Talked about this before in the past. Now it's on the governor's desk, and it provides clarification for property taxes for our disabled veterans. Several disabled veterans were getting property tax bills that haven't been due for 5 years because they are 70 to 100% disabled. Very, very profound disabled individuals were given a waiver of their property taxes for the past 5, 6 years. Then all of a sudden, somebody decided to interpret the law differently than the intent of the law and started sending these disabled veterans property tax bills that they weren't prepared for. So the bill has been sent to the governor. It also provides for next year's taxes a waiver of our World War II veterans. Those that are still around will get a little bit of tax relief in these upcoming years. And then again, we hope that the governor will sign it soon. I have sent messages to his office that it is there. We have sent it to him. The House is supposed to send it to him, and it is waiting for signatures. So we were hoping to have this done in May before the first installment was due June 1st. The first installment was due June 1st. But however, the bill is retroactive. So once it gets signed, it is retroactive and it should take care of the problem. It's just unfortunate that our disabled veterans have to go through this, but it was passed last year. A different portion of that bill got vetoed. Then we tried to pass it in veto session, and then now finally it got passed. So thank goodness for that. So that is what I am watching, specifically this bill. I'm watching my other bills as they get processed and sent to the governor. Those normally will start being sent in July. It takes towards the end of June, July. It takes about a month, 30 days, up to 60 days to process it all. Believe it or not, I know here's a fun fact. The engrossing part of the clerk's office, it is still on paper. Because there is you need to keep paper copies because this computer that I'm talking to you today might not be around. It needs to be archived in a paper format. So any bill, whether it's a bill that's 2 pages or a bill that's 1,000 pages, they all have to be printed out. They all have to be bound. They all have to have a certain way of putting them together so that they can be stored in the archives. So that does take quite a while. We were able to expedite this bill, House Bill 612, for those of you that are watching. We were able to expedite this bill, and obviously the budget gets expedited because it has to be signed by and implemented by July 1. So, and we talked about that a couple weeks ago. So watching this bill, House Bill 612, making sure it gets across the finish line and it gets implemented right away. So really, that's what I'm doing, amongst other things. But that's when we're talking about legislation, as I've mentioned before, this is kind of like a little bit of the lull. I've been on some calls with regards to legislation that might come up in veto session in November, some meetings and other things that are taking place right now. So this is kind of like the due diligence that goes on behind the scenes that preps for a successful session. So I know individuals like to look at our job only being when we're driving down to Springfield, passing laws, driving back. But right now is where we're setting the foundation. We're doing our due diligence for legislation, potentially in veto session or next year. So in my sphere of the world, I don't really stop doing the state rep thing when we're out of Springfield. I'm pretty much, I do it full time. And so this is what we're working on today. Right now, I'm tracking my bills, making sure they get to the governor's office, and then working on legislation for November or next year. So, and that being said, if individuals have ideas for legislation, some of the best legislation comes from people in the community. People that are living it every single day and says, why does the law do this? Why can't we change the law? Why can't you can change the law in certain circumstances? Reach out. If I'm not your representative, reach out to your representative or your senator and have a meeting, talk about issues, or most importantly, the thing I prefer the most is an email, because then I have it in writing and I can research it and really work back and forth at all different hours because my schedule is crazy. So I actually prefer an email, but definitely reach out if there is something that you're seeing in your community that you would like changed. We can help you with that. So that is kind of the crux of our job. So what is going on? What was going on? Well, what did we do? June 27th is a Muslim holy day that honors the sacrifice that Abraham was willing to make in obedience of God's command. If you are Muslim, we will recognize that. That was on June 27th. So that was a little bit coming up, June 27th. So it's coming up. And definitely we should look at that. National Eat Your Vegetables Day. So National Eat Your Vegetables Day. I am a vegetable person. I eat a lot of vegetables. I like it. June 17th is National Eat Your Vegetables Day. So there are many ways you can get your vegetables, but they are healthy. And there are all different kinds of recipes out there. Now, here's a prime example, and people might laugh at that. But back in the day when I was a child of 7, 8, 9, those years, my mother loved to make Brussels sprouts, and she would just steam them. And I would hate Brussels sprouts because they were just little cabbages with butter, some salt, and they were horrible. Well, believe it or not, today, the recipes and the variations of how people prepare Brussels sprouts are amazing. And some of these are just wonderful to eat. And so I laugh at the evolution of these recipes, particularly with regards to vegetables. So it's not always a salad. It's not always, broccoli. There's a lot of different vegetables out there, a lot of different things for you to try and eat. Anything from a spaghetti squash to butternut squash to various different salads that are just not your plain old crisp iceberg crisp lettuce. So anywho, today, Eat Your Vegetables Day. Definitely something that is very important to maintain a healthy diet. So I am a vegetable person. I really like vegetables. So I know some people don't, but try it out. There are other ways to get your vegetables. They have all sorts of V8 juices and things like that as well. So, and then Wednesday, June 19th is Juneteenth Day. So, Juneteenth is a really important day in that the freedom of African Americans from slavery in the U.S. in 1865 is celebrated on the holiday Juneteenth on June 19th. So as you can imagine, Juneteenth is the word June and 19th together, and it's the day that Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Texas more than 155 years ago to inform slaves that slavery had been abolished. So Juneteenth is very important. Over the weekend, there was many Juneteenth celebrations. I went to the one in Aurora. There's one in Naperville, and they were all around. And it was a day of festivities and music and you name it. So certainly Juneteenth is on, and it is on Wednesday. So it is a holiday. It is a state holiday. So things might be closed on Wednesday that you might not think about, but it is a definitely something that to keep mindful of. Juneteenth, 19th of June. It's a very important day. Thursday, June 20th, the first day of summer. That is the summer solstice. And sorry about that. It's summer solstice 2024. It's official first day of summer and the longest day of the year. I realize it's been pretty warm today. But the summer solstice officially begins Thursday, June 20th, marking the astronomical first day of summer in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, speaking about summer and the first day of summer, I know it's been feeling like summer for quite some time now, quite a while. And the heat wave is expected to linger in Chicago throughout the week, and temperatures hover in the low to mid 90s. So the heat wave is stretching from the Midwest to the Northeast. It's expected to linger for at least 5 days, and meteorologists warn that Chicago is one of a dozen large metropolitan areas expected to see temperatures in the low to mid 90s for the week. The air quality alert was issued for Sunday and Monday today because hot weather can increase levels of pollution in the atmosphere. So, of course, it bears repeating, and I know some people are going to say this is common sense, but the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency is urging everybody in the area, Chicagoans, to limit outdoor activities that are, significant time frame. Shorten your time frame for being outside due to a level of ozones that are unhealthy for sensitive groups, including children and people with respiratory or pulmonary disease. So, if you're outdoor a lot, for activities, sports and the like, limit those down, stay cool, take advantage of the pools, check in on loved ones, call our office if you need to locate a calling center. Make sure you're using sunscreen. The sun is brutal. Going back to the holidays, I misread this. Today is the Muslim holy day that honors the sacrifice of Abraham. Want to wish all our friends that are Muslim a happy holy day today. So it is celebrated today on June 17th. So I just misread that for a moment here. So what else is going on? So July 8th, veterans, first responders, and essential workers, there's a monument dedication in the village of Montgomery and the Fox Valley Park District to honor. They're dedicating 2 new monuments. The ceremony marks a significant moment for the community as it pays tributes to the sacrifice of those that served in the military, our first responders, essential workers, particularly during the challenging times such as COVID-19. If you want to mark your calendar, Montgomery, July 8th, 5 p.m., Montgomery Park, 301 North River Street in Montgomery. So just to mark that. Also, if you want to mark your calendar, we're talking about marking your calendar. September 5th is the Aurora American Legion Golf Outing. You can go to their website, post84.com, and get all the information with regards to that. It's at Tamarack, 8 a.m. in the morning, September 5th. Going to give a shout out for September 20th, Toys for Tots Golf Outing. It is filling up fast. And that is going to be at Bliss Creek. So definitely there's a couple good golf outings supporting really great organizations in our community. Now, one of the things I said earlier on in this segment is that information from local individuals is very important when we look at laws. However, also independent news media is also very important when we look at the laws, because they can look at things through the investigative journalism lens that we can then take and make laws as well. So there was a report by Capital News Illinois and ProPublica that looked at homeschooling in Illinois. Now, Illinois allows for homeschooling. Each state has different regulations for homeschooling. And a lot of them are, allows the parent to be responsible for their child. So, so there's not many rules in Illinois when it comes to homeschooling. We don't make parents register with an agency. We don't require tests. They do say under law they have to provide an education equivalent to what is offered in public schools, core subjects, math, language arts, science, health. But parents don't have to have some sort of high school diploma or GED. The state authorities cannot compel them to demonstrate their teaching methods, attendance, curriculum, or outcomes. So there was an article with regards to this, and looking at the homeschool sphere, there's a quote in the article by the State Board of Education that said, regional educational officers are empowered by Illinois law to request evidence that a family that homeschools is providing an adequate course of instruction. However, the ability to intervene, if this isn't happening, is very limited. There's lack of regulation that allows parents to pull vulnerable children from public schools, then not provide any education for them. And they actually have a term, they're called no schoolers. So it really looks at some of the pitfalls of not having regulation with regards to homeschooling, and something that I think the General Assembly is going to start looking into maybe next year, because that is not the intent of homeschooling. We understand that there are some children that need to be homeschooled, and that is a learning environment. However, we need to make sure that this system's not being taken advantage of. For example, if an individual, our schools have mandatory reporters for child abuse. And if a child is being abused, then the parent could fall under this homeschooling exception and homeschool them. And then they're not exposed to any mandatory reporters if they have that. So there are very, very good homeschool programs. I've known some parents that are very good homeschoolers, but also there are those individuals that want to abuse or really take advantage of the system. And so I believe that that's something that we at the General Assembly should be looking into. Again, it's on my docket to look into as well. And then what we're looking at is revenues as they're coming in. COGFA releases reports every single month. If you're really interested, you can look them up. But we reported, and I think we're talking about this, sports book. So the Illinois Gaming Board reported nearly 92 million in adjusted gross sports betting revenue for April on Thursday, while the handle topped 1 billion for the 8th consecutive month. We've been talking about this for a while, and looking to make sure that all the revenues that we were looking at are up to date. And so I believe we talked a little bit about this last time, but all these revenues, the state has many different revenues. And so we're looking at them all as they all come online, and they all make up our budget. Again, the budget that we passed was 52 billion that's the operating budget. The state of Illinois works with pass-through funds of about double that. So really, the state of Illinois' total funds budget is what's called, is well over $100 billion. Now, we pass through a lot of federal funding grants, monies to different organizations, different units of government. And so our operating budget was $52 billion. And what is in that operating budget? A lot of in that operating budget is going to individuals in need. A lot of it are a lot on our Medicaid side, our Medicare side, are individuals with disabilities, frail elderly, those that really need the assistance. A big chunk of that budget is our schools, and then another big chunk of our budget is our bills. So, just like everybody's home budget, the biggest chunk, if you look at it, our bills, mortgage, cars, the like. In our case, also salaries go into that. So that's our budget. So we're looking at all these as they come online, these revenue sources. So what do there is a bill that I wanted to highlight to prevent unfair real estate listing agreements. So I came to our attention of individuals who worked with MV Realty, a Florida company, that they were looking at long-term listing agreements. And so these are long-term and costly real estate listing agreements. And this MV Realty is a Florida company. So what we did is we passed a law to make them unenforceable. So it'd be illegal for people or companies to enter unfair listing agreements with homeowners. Real estate listing agreements would be prohibited if they ran more than a year into the future. And any agreements could not bind future property owners of that property. So it is passed the House and the Senate. It's now going to the governor to become law. It falls under our Illinois Consumer Fraud and Deceptive Practices Act. For homeowners who have already signed an agreement, the legislation would provide a way out. Homeowners would be able to ask a judge to void the agreement, making it unenforceable. So groups like AARP and land title insurance groups praise the legislation for providing a remedy for consumers while discouraging similar schemes. So this happened. There was a flurry of state level moves around the country to protect consumers in the wake of the MV Realty controversy. The Boca Raton, Florida company has been accused of deceptively grabbing homeowners' equity through real estate listing agreements. Multiple lawsuits have been filed against MV Realty by states' attorney generals, including those in Illinois and Indiana. So I just wanted to bring that up. For those that are interested, these are pieces of legislation that we do as the government to try to protect everybody in the state of Illinois. That's the role of government, and the only way the only way that these protections can be put in place is by the government. Now, we have a feel-good story, and I know I read this earlier, and I'm not sure that if I mentioned it earlier or not, but bears repeating. Sometimes I talk about it, and then I can't remember if I talked about it last week or not because I read so much, but if I talked about it last week, I'm talking about it again. It's a great story. It's something that everybody needs to look at. But my good friend, she was a representative, now a state senator, Mary Edley Allen, was with State Treasurer Michael Frerichs, and they actually had a press conference to state that a resident in her district will receive $500,000 from a life insurance policy through the iCash program. So I don't know if I've talked about this before or not. I know I've read about it. I know I wanted to share it, and I can't remember if I shared it last week or not, but an individual was a widower, and his wife had taken out a life insurance policy, and nobody knew about it. And so we passed a law a couple years ago that what we had found out is life insurance policies, when they knew that the individual had passed away, the life insurance companies were still keeping the money. And they said, well, nobody asked us for it, so we are holding on to the money. And what does that do when they hold on to the money? They get the interest on it, and they continue to invest it. So we passed a law that says that they need to pass it on to whatever heirs on file, or in this case, it went to the state of Illinois. When there's unclaimed property, it goes to the state of Illinois. Now, this is not any kind of fraud. This is completely legitimate. So I know individuals look at this and be like, how can the state of Illinois be giving me money? It's your money that's unclaimed. The state is holding it for you to claim it. That is how the unclaimed property, the iCash program works. So in this case, he didn't realize his wife had taken out a life insurance policy. And it was a life-changing amount of money. And he actually is a Lake County veteran who served his country. And his wife was also a veteran. And it was a life insurance policy through a former employer. So really, it took a lot for Senator Mary Edley Allen's staff and the state treasurer to ensure that the veteran received this benefit. Just to make sure that, you know, when you get a phone call, it's not a spam. And there's a lot of phone calls where it's spam, and we're partnering with it. And many don't believe the call. So that's why residents need to do their own research on the iCash website. They can initiate their own claim. They can call our office to help out with that. We can fax things. We can make copies in my office. So we partner with the treasurer's office to help get these claims filed properly with regards to this iCash. Now, as I mentioned, in 2017, we passed legislation that was called the Life Insurance Reform Act, so that if they knew the consumer had passed away, they weren't paying out the death benefits and just hoarding the money. So audits more than a decade ago from the state treasurer's office found more than $550 million in death benefits were not paid to the grieving families of Illinois. Now they are, and it's a really wonderful program. So iCash, check it out. A delayed good morning. Good morning to Bob and Roger and Saul and Ellen. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live. Thank you for tuning in as well. June is also National Homeownership Month. So we get these reports and these notices. Illinois Housing Development Authority is the state's leading financier of affordable housing developments and home buyer down payment assistance program. So if you didn't know that, this is the state of Illinois helping out individuals own a home. National Home Ownership Month is June, and the past 40 years, the Illinois Housing Development Authority has been committed to providing safe, reliable financing options and educational resources to help individuals and families. Number one thing, the American dream, is homeownership. So definitely that's something that we're working with. I know that my office has worked in the past to help individuals stay in their homes when they've come on hard times. I will say this, and I'll say this again, do not call us as a path of last resort. To call my office when things are starting to go south. We have had limited experience. Now we have had successes when somebody calls and says the sheriff's going to be coming at my door in 7 days. We've had limited success with regard to that call. However, if you call earlier on that says we're struggling to make our mortgage, we might need some help, are there programs, things that we can do? Yes, there are, but you need to call us well before the sheriff is knocking on your door in order for us to help out. I know that it is very, very devastating to lose a house or to have to be to be evicted. And definitely there are issues, and there's a decrease in affordable housing stock. Owning a home sometimes has been a struggle these days. But I will stress this at the beginning signs. Do not be too proud to reach out to my office and ask for help. Reaching out at the very last minute, while we were able to do some things for some people, we're not able to do things for other individuals, and it's very frustrating. There are programs potentially available that we can help out with for those that are struggling. So if you know anybody who's struggling, please let my office know and we can try to help out. Now, one of the things I just want to touch on is we have the Illinois Department of Labor. If you have any questions with regards to labor, workforce, you can always go to the Illinois Department of Labor website. It is very informative. But we want to make sure that we let you know that child labor, teenagers, they're into the summer workforce, they want to get a job. And the Department of Labor wants to know that there are a couple of steps to take before your child begins work and while they're on the job. So child labor laws, they're meant to protect our children in the workforce. There are many jobs that are for adults. Children sometimes are not that well equipped to do them. And there are children that be exploited. They can be hurt at work. So the rules in place allow young people to be employed in a safe workplace. So workers under 16 years old, they are regulated by the Illinois Department of Labor, and the law protects these children. They require an employment certificate that confirms that a minor child is old enough to work, physically capable of performing the job, and that the job will not interfere with their education. Now, that's during school months, of course. They cannot be in hazardous occupations. They cannot be working in places where alcohol is served or sold for consumption on site. And these are individuals less than 16 years old, so 15-year-olds. Limited working hours. Children workers are prohibited from working before 7 a.m. and after 7 p.m. during the school year, work until 9 p.m. In the summer. Child workers earn a minimum of $12 an hour and should receive a 30-minute meal break for every 5 hours worked. Like all workers in Illinois, child workers are entitled to a day of rest after 6 consecutive days of work. If you know of anybody that's violating the child labor laws, they can be reported to the Department of Labor. You can go online and file a complaint. Employment between 16 and 18, there's more information about that in the non-agricultural setting. So certainly there are federal laws and state laws with regards to children working ages 16 through 18. So just wanted to let you know that the Illinois Department of Labor wanted me to let you know about this. Also on June 15th, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. I should have talked about this earlier, but my apologies, I didn't. The Illinois Department of Aging is reminding Illinoisans of when and how to report suspected cases of elder abuse. So elder abuse is important. It is devastating. It's often hidden. It can be, elder abuse can be a loved one, a family member. Elder abuse is an act causing physical, mental, or sexual injury to any older adult, including the exploitation of their financial resources and abandonment. This does happen, unfortunately, that children are not always that great to their parents, or caregivers aren't that great to the elderly individuals. So harm to an older adult's health, physical, emotional well-being, or welfare is a chargeable offense. None of us are powerless in the fight against abuse of all abuse. National studies show as many as 1 in 10 adults age 60 and older will experience some form of elder abuse in a given year. Some adults simultaneously experiencing more than one type of abuse. Trauma of elder abuse can result in really serious consequences. So there is a hotline. There's a 24-hour hotline, 866-800-1409. You can make the report. They need to know the name and the location of the victim and the details regarding the abuse. Anybody who is in immediate danger should call 911. So June 5th is Elder Abuse Awareness Day. So that's a pretty important thing to be aware of as the generations age. And the Department of Natural Resources are looking for volunteer citizen scientists to get this, to assist with wild turkey brood surveys to aid biologists in monitoring turkey population trends and reproductive success. So summertime is when young turkeys are hatching. I've seen a couple of young turkeys along the side of the road. And by counting them and adult females, biologists can assess trends in the reproductive success and survival of young turkeys. So they count male turkeys, they count male to female ratios, adult survivals. There's a whole bunch of data going into the research with regards to turkeys. County and dates of observations during the month of June, July, and August. So the best way that you want to submit your name to sign up for turkey sightings is to go through the department's electronic wild turkey survey online. So if you want to send an email, dnr.turkey@illinois.gov with any questions. So if you want to go out and count turkeys, it's an important thing, and they need volunteers to go out and not only talk turkey, but count turkeys. I'm not really a comedian, but I thought that was kind of funny. Illinois, we talked about revolving loan funds. We got $15 million in federal funding through the Energy Efficiency Revolving Loan Fund. Illinois has a lot of revolving loan funds for various different means, business development. In this case, it's through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. They got a federal grant for energy efficiency revolving loan funds. So whether it's business development or energy efficiency, the state of Illinois, it definitely has some resources to help people. And then finally, on the judicial system, it was very interesting. Judge Harry Leuenweber passed away on Tuesday. He was 39 years on the bench, and he oversaw the 2023 trial of 4 former Commonwealth Edison executives and lobbyists. He had passed away. Our condolences to his family. He was 87. President Ronald Reagan nominated him to the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois in 1985. He assumed senior status in 2002 and maintained an active caseload until his death. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends. However, he was presiding over the case with regards to former Illinois Speaker Mike Madigan. So now there's a new judge that's handling the sentencing phase of this case that has surrounded around former Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan. Again, the Commonwealth Edison case. So the court's executive committee assigned the ComEd case to Judge Maurice Shaw for all further proceedings according to court records. So if you recall, Commonwealth Edison case was tied to Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan, and now it is under a different judge. Just an FYI. The Illinois High School Association announced Tuesday it's starting the 26-27 school year. Boys and girls varsity basketball games will begin using a shot clock. Teams will have 35 seconds to hit the rim or turn the ball over. For those that are interested, it comes across my desk. Random things do come across my desk. These are pretty interesting. We also got a little bit of a report that says cicada-induced vitamin deficiency linked to a mystery disease in Illinois birds. So right down the road from me, in Glen Ellen, there's the Willowbrook Wildlife Center. If you don't know about it, you can check them out. But they are looking at an uptick in birds admitted with eye issues, swollen eyelids, crusted eyes, damaged corneas. If these symptoms sound familiar, they were the same things that were seen in songbirds back in 2021, believe it or not, when a mystery disease struck populations of songbirds. What is the link between these two outbreaks? Cicadas. So hundreds of diseased birds in 2021, particularly out of concern the U.S., will be witnessing the emergence of a new infectious disease. So the National Wildlife Health Center conducted these tests. They ruled out everything they could think of. Common toxins, common, not so common infectious diseases. The birds were negative for influenza. They were negative for everything. However, they didn't have a clue, but the sick birds, the vast majority of which were fledglings, showed classic signs of vitamin A deficiency. Acting on that bit of evidence, researchers began to put the puzzles together, and they realized in 2021, broad X 17-year cicadas emerged in an area extending from Indiana to New Jersey. All sorts of wildlife, including birds, overate on the cicada buffet, and then the location of sick birds just happened to be in the same place that the broad X emerged. So when you look at cicadas, the insects' bodies, they don't have any vitamin A in them except in their eyes. So when you look at what animals are eating, what they're not eating, the cicada, they don't eat the eyes or the head. They're eating the innards of the bug. They're just not eating a well-balanced diet. Goes right back to National Vegetable Day. Same thing happens in adults. So believe it or not. So got to get your vitamin A. So what they are doing is they got a little bit of a heads up. They're a little bit prepared for this from the 2021. They are now in the path of Illinois' broad X111, which I know is a Roman numeral number, 17-year cicada emergence. And so knowing this, that they are experiencing these cases, knowing this link, that's exactly the same age as exactly almost the same species. So baby birds are hit harder by the lack of vitamin A because they have a higher need for it and lower body storage than adults. There's no rhyme or reason regarding why the affected species are almost exclusively blue jays, grackles, starlings, cowbirds, and sparrows. So the good news is that they can be treated. So the birds that come in after being given vitamin A and eye medicine, so far, they have been brought to the center with these symptoms, and they have been able to be rehabilitated and back out in the wild. So it makes a lot of sense. And as I said before, a balanced diet is important to wildlife as much as it is to humans. So eat your fruits and vegetables, get your vitamin A's, all your vitamins that you need. With that, that's pretty much my update today. Not really heavy on Springfield yet. Again, we are off for the spring or for the summer months. So I hope everybody has a wonderful first day of spring. I don't see any questions in the chat from the Facebook. John Lawson puts down the local county Veterans Assistance Commissions are there to help veterans and their survivors. So talking about the veteran and getting that life insurance and other issues, make sure you contact your local Veterans Assistance Commission. Now, on that, thank you, John, for bringing that up. The Aurora American Legion is now located at 1649 Montgomery Road. They host the second Friday of every month from 10 to 2, the Kane County Veterans Assistance Commission, the DuPage County Veterans Assistance Commission, and a representative from Hines VA. It was great. If you notice, I just made my first doctor's appointment to Hines VA. I had it, and I had several questions about this, because I'm new to this system of VA health benefits. And the woman there was able to pull up everything, was able to answer all my questions. It was amazing, wonderful people. So if you are a veteran, the second Friday of every month at the VA, or at the American Legion, is the VA reps and the VAC reps. So you don't have to go all the way up to the county building in Kane County to talk to a VAC, or the government complex in DuPage County to talk to a VAC. They are right here in Aurora, ready to help out. Wonderful people. They have access to your accounts. If you are a veteran, they can help you with paperwork and a whole bunch of things. So second Friday of every month, 10 to 2, at the Aurora American Legion office there on Montgomery Road, 1649 Montgomery Road. So thank you, John, for bringing that up. Wonderful. Ellen talked about the Willowbrook Wildlife in Glen Ellen. It's an awesome place to visit. It's a hidden gem in DuPage County, so definitely check that out. Ellen gives it a 5 star. So with that, everybody have a great week. Stay cool. Wear your sunscreen. Sun poisoning is real. In fact, I knew an individual in the military that literally got sun poisoning. It is real. Sunscreen. Stay in the shade. If you need a cooling center, let us know. We can direct you to a cooling center. Don't be too proud to ask for help. The help is there. And please take advantage of it. But have a great week. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy everything going on. I hope everybody had a good Father's Day, and farmers markets are open, so that's the best part. So take care. Have a great day, guys, and have a good week.